Hello there and welcome to World News Programme, streaming to you live on All 24 News. I'm your host, Kinifa Zachary, and up next are the top stories. Zionist forces unleash a series of 8 deadly massacres in Gaza Strip within 24 hours, claiming 92 Palestinian lives. Bombings target civilians in Rafah near Al-Amal Hospital and wipe out Khuzaa town. Also ahead, global outrage ensues. South Africa calls for action against Zionist entity. Brazil accuses occupation of genocide. Cuba demands UN protection for Palestinians. And Turkey slams Western inaction on occupation brutality. Also ahead, Zionist occupation forces raid Al-Khalil and Yatta as human rights report exposes relentless Zionist campaign escalating tensions in the occupied West Bank. And Algerian president stresses unity, vows to boost hydrocarbon production and support energy transition. Stay tuned for the details after the break. Hello again and welcome to the program. First off in our news, in just 24 hours, Zionist occupation forces have perpetrated 8 new massacres, resulting in the deaths of 92 Palestinian civilians and leaving 123 others wounded. The Palestinian Ministry of Health in Gaza reports that the toll of the victims from Zionist aggression has now reached 29,606 martyrs, with 69,737 injured since the onset of the aggression on the Gaza Strip on October 7th. To the latest developments on the ground, hundreds perish and scores wounded in the recent Zionist airstrikes on Deir al-Balah and Rafah in Gaza. Meanwhile, in Khan Yunis, the town of Khuzaa is obliterated, leaving no signs of life. Zarfar Jenny has the story.
In another day of relentless bombing in the Gaza Strip, scenes of devastation and mourning continue to grip the besieged region. Funerals of the deceased are being held amidst the widespread displacement and destruction that pervades the area. In Rafah, an area thought to be safe, crowds have assembled to assist in the evacuation of casualties from a building struck by the Zionist airstrike on Saturday.
We ran out and found everything burning, and the homes were destroyed. We were totally lost. Then we found burning bodies, and no one was able to extinguish them or get close to them. The whole area was full of dust.
They say it is a safe area, but we have people being killed each day. We have daily shelling. Where is the safe area? It is just words. It is all nonsense. There is no safe place in all of the Gaza Strip.
The main target of the Zionist forces lay east of Khan Yunis, where the occupation carried out the destruction of all homes in the town of Al-Khuzaa. The devastating assault led to the loss of 2 lives and left numerous others wounded. Friday evening was a bloody night in Deir al-Balah for more than 1.5 million displaced people. 25 people have been killed and others injured in a massacre committed by the Zionist occupation forces.
We saw this kind of destruction on TV and heard about it, but I never thought that one day I would be pulled out of the rubble. We didn't know what to do.
Among the martyrs of central Gaza was Yasser al-Dalu, a 4-month-old baby, sheltering with his parent in their house in Deir al-Balah. They had fled Gaza City at the onset of the Zionist aggression, only to encounter devastating consequences in their new refuge.
I gave birth to him the first week of the war. I have been waiting for him for 8 years. I have struggled so much to be able to have him. Allah is sufficient for us, and He is the best disposer of affairs. Oh my love, my son.
No man, no woman, nor a child is spared from the brutal Zionist war machine. Every resident lives in constant fear, uncertain of what the future holds. Despite mounting calls for a permanent ceasefire, the international community, spearheaded by the US, continues to neglect the urgent need to halt the genocidal war waged by the Zionist forces.
Still with the genocidal war waged on Palestinians, the Palestinian Red Crescent Society reported that Zionist forces hit near Al-Amal Hospital in Khan Yunis, Gaza, damaging hospital facilities. They evacuated injured from the Nasser Medical Complex as well for the fourth time, in coordination with the UN Office of Humanitarian Affairs. The Palestinian Ministry of Health warns of dire consequences from ongoing Zionist aggression, with over 1 million Gazans suffering acute malnutrition. Famine worsens among displaced people, notably in Rafah near the Palestinian-Egyptian border. Here's Salma Nasib with the story.
Amidst the unremitting blockade and bloody aggression, famine worsens the acute suffering of Gazans already enduring the ravages of genocide and blockade. The entry of humanitarian aid is severely restricted, leaving families and mothers struggling to secure even the most basic necessities for their children. Plastic camps, packed with displaced families, bear witness to the ongoing war and systematic starvation campaign enforced by the Zionist occupation. Naram, a mother for 18-month-old twins, could no longer provide her babies with any milk, so she soaked some leftover bread in water just to quell their hunger. Since the war, there has been no more milk, and if it's available, it's too expensive. I have not given them milk for 5 months now. Unfortunately, they suffer from anemia and the lack of calcium and vitamin D due to the absence of food like eggs and milk. According to United Nations Children's Fund, the high rates of malnutrition and serious diseases are now endangering the lives of more than 300,000 Palestinians in Gaza and Rafah alone. Shockingly, more than 500,000 people, representing 1 in 4 families, confront acute food insecurity at catastrophic levels.
The health of mothers has deteriorated, cannot complete the lactation period of their children, which has a negative effect on their health. The food that children consume also lacks the necessary elements and nutritional supplements important for their growth as they grow. There is a spread of epidemics among children, such as hepatitis and intestinal catarrh.
The humanitarian crisis deepens as aid agencies sound the alarm. Scenes of desperation grip the war-torn streets as Palestinians resort to eating scraps of rotten corn, animal fodder, and even leaves. The World Food Programme describes levels of desperation as unprecedented, while the United Nations grimly warns that 2.2 million people stand on the grip of famine.
Moving on to international reaction now, global attention turns to the ongoing Zionist aggression on Palestinian civilians. Recent surge in violence prompted leaders from various nations to condemn and call for accountability against the Zionist genocidal war, urging an action to protect innocent lives. Here's Osama Ayadi with the report.
In the wake of the escalating Zionist aggression on the Gaza Strip, world leaders have united in condemnation of the genocidal war and continuous massacres against Palestinian civilians. South Africa's ambassador to the Netherlands, Vusi Madonsela, urged all countries to support his country's case at the International Court of Justice, holding the Zionist occupation accountable for its crimes. He invited states parties to the Convention on the Prevention of the Crime of Genocide to attend the hearings and present evidence.
We invite the state parties to the Convention of the Prevention of the Crime of Genocide to attend the hearings at the International Court of Justice and to present their views, accompanied by the evidence available to them, to show the court that Israel committed the crime of genocide.
For his part, Brazilian President Lula da Silva doubled down his accusations of genocide, stressing that the ongoing onslaught constitutes a calculated campaign of slaughter, particularly targeting women and children. On the same occasion, da Silva advocates for the establishment of a free and sovereign Palestinian state.
I now want to tell you I will not swap my dignity for falsehood. I want to tell you I support the creation of a free and sovereign Palestinian state.
Echoing the same sentiments, Cuban President Miguel Bermudez has issued a fervent plea for immediate global intervention to halt the genocide in Gaza. He urged the UN to send a protection mission, citing the need for humanitarian aid and shelter materials, especially in harsh weather conditions.
We urge that a UN-mandated protection mission be urgently dispatched to Gaza to protect Palestinian people and provide humanitarian assistance.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has criticized the international community for its inaction in the face of the ongoing massacres in Gaza. Erdogan accused Western powers and the Security Council of failing to stop the brutality of the Zionist occupation against Palestinians.
The world is content to watch Israel's crimes against humanity for over 140 days, to the point that the UN Security Council does not call for an immediate ceasefire and is unable to do so. The Western powers and the Security Council have not made a meaningful effort to stop Israeli brutality.
The collective outcry from world leaders underscores the pressing necessity for intervention to safeguard civilians and address the humanitarian crisis in Gaza.
And in another development, United Nations human rights experts demand an immediate halt to arms exports to the Zionist entity, citing violations of international human rights law. They emphasized the International Court of Justice's recent decision on the risk of genocide in Gaza and the grave harm to civilians. Officials involved in arms exports may face criminal charges for aiding war crimes, crimes against humanity, or genocide, with all states and the International Criminal Court authorized to investigate and prosecute perpetrators under universal jurisdiction. Over the weekend, Zionist occupation forces conducted raids in Al-Khalil and Yatta in the occupied West Bank, as reported by the Palestinian news agency. They stormed various areas, including the center of Al-Khalil and the town of Yatta, conducting searches and property damage without making any arrests. However, in Nablus, 2 brothers were arrested after a similar raid in the town of Burqa, during which homes were searched and property destroyed. Meanwhile, the Palestinian Office for Land, Defense and Settlement Resistance uncovered a Zionist plan aiming to instigate a frenzied and unprecedented conflict in the West Bank. Their weekly settlement report, released on Saturday, reveals the plan's intention to accommodate hundreds of thousands of settlers, facilitate their access to the Old City and the Burak Wall annually, and encircle occupied Al-Quds. Let's turn to other world news now, and particularly to Algeria-related news. In a bid to navigate the volatile global landscape, Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune has emphasized the importance of bolstering internal unity, both regionally and internationally. Speaking through Algerian Prime Minister Nadir Al-Arbawi during commemorative ceremonies for the founding of the General Union of Algerian Workers and the nationalization of fuels, President Abdelmadjid Tebboune hailed the union's founding as a pivotal moment in Algeria's fight against colonialism. He underscored that this year's anniversary comes amid profound transformations in Algeria following comprehensive reform efforts.
سيد عبد المجيد تبون والجزائر تعيش تحولا عميقا على كافة الأصعدة وتنتقل بخطى ثابتة نحو بناء اقتصاد قوي.
Algeria is currently undergoing significant transformation and economic diversification after comprehensive reforms. The establishment of the General Union of Algerian Workers on February 24, 1956, marked a crucial moment in the country's history, symbolizing the collective effort of the Algerian people in the liberation revolution. The founders demonstrated exceptional leadership, emphasizing freedom restoration and showcasing their ability to mobilize support for the national cause. The ongoing reforms aim to build a robust and diversified economy, ensuring freedom of initiative, favorable investment conditions, and principles of transparency and equality among economic operators.
And on the same occasion, President Abdelmadjid Tebboune reaffirms Algeria's commitment to boosting hydrocarbon production and investing in new fields. He also pledges to support the successful energy transition and strengthen Algeria's role in electricity production and biodiversity conservation. Let's listen.
تم إنجاز أكثر من 140 بئراً.
More than 140 exploratory and development wells have been completed, enabling more than 25 explorations to be carried out. And Algeria will continue its efforts to raise its fuel production capabilities through an ambitious investment plan, which will allow the rise in primary production of fuels in Algeria with a rate of 2% during the period between 2023 and 2027 to reach around 209 million tons.
طن مكافئ بحلول عام 2027. لقد التزمت الجزائر برفع تحديات التنمية المستدامة.
Algeria has committed to lift the challenges of sustainable development through setting a new energy strategy based on a vision to develop its economy on the long and medium terms and accompany the path to achieving a successful energy transition through the launch of new projects in the field of renewable energy and the positioning as a major actor in the production of electricity, relying on solar energy and integrating hydrogen, in addition to the deliberate effort to enhance the preservation of ecosystems and supporting reforestation and protecting biological diversity and the preservation of its natural resources for a sustainable future.
والحفاظ على مواردها الطبيعية من أجل مستقبل مستدام.
And in the same context, President Abdelmadjid Tebboune underlined the 7th Gas Exporting Countries Forum Summit, aiming to enhance the optimal utilization of the crucial resource, gas.
نتطلع بثقة كاملة.
We eagerly anticipate the convening of the 7th Summit of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum in Algeria to deepen dialogue on the role of gas in the energy transition. This aims to enhance cooperation and partnership for optimal utilization of this resource.
لتطوير استغلال هذا المورد على الوجه الأمثل.
Still related to energy, Algerian Prime Minister Nadil Arbawi has officially opened the gas production center in Hassi Bahmou, located in the southern state of Timimun. This state-of-the-art facility boasts an annual production capacity of 1.5 billion cubic meters. Here's Islam Said.
Algeria has inaugurated a new gas field in the southern part of the country, with an annual production reaching over 1.5 billion cubic meters. The state-of-the-art facility, packed with a cutting-edge tech, boasts 24 wells and is primed to pump out some serious amount of blue fuel. It's a game-changer, giving Algeria the flexibility to meet the rise in demand, both in domestic and international markets.
The facility has a production capacity of 4.3 million cubic meters per day, featuring 24 wells and employing cutting-edge energy technologies.
Hassi Bahmou field is a key gas field in the southwest region with a capacity of about 6 million cubic meters. The processed gas is exported through a pipeline connecting Hassi Bahmou and Hassi Rmel.
Equipped with the latest technological innovations, the new energy facility enables the global production of premium gas varieties devoid of sulfur compounds, making it highly desirable in international markets, particularly in Europe.
The gas in Hassi Bahmou is of high quality, free from carbon dioxide, sulfur, and mercury. This makes it desirable for European buyers, positioning it as a premium grade gas.
This groundbreaking addition to the gas industry cements Algeria's status as a dependable and secure natural gas supplier on both regional and global scales. Furthermore, it enhances the country's standing in international markets by significantly boosting extraction and production capabilities of blue fuel. Importantly, this milestone signifies a substantial stride in the ongoing endeavor to position gas as a pivotal resource in the anticipated global energy transition.
And in regional news, Algeria has initiated preparations to open the Mustafa Ben Boulaid border crossing with Mauritania for the movement of people. The Algerian Ministry of Interior announced this intention on Saturday, emphasizing the aim to facilitate smooth entry and exit to and from Mauritania, alongside opening it for commercial traffic. The move reflects the strong political will of both countries' presidents to advance bilateral cooperation, mutual development, and good neighborliness. The chairman of the West African Regional Bloc urged a change of strategy to restore democracy in coup-led countries. ECOWAS leaders are addressing a political crisis as Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali withdrew from the alliance. ECOWAS decided to partially lift sanctions on Niger, including reopening borders and airspace, announced after an emergency summit in Abuja.
Once again, we are gathered here to address present developments in our sub-regions surrounding the peace and security, excuse me, as well as the political situation in the Republic of Niger, Burkina Faso, Guinea, and Mali. We must approach these issues with a sense of unity and commitment to the well-being of our people.
And in other topical news, the war in Ukraine marks its 2nd year with uncertainty over its outcome. Confrontations seem to be evolving into a prolonged war of attrition, lacking a clear political settlement horizon. Here's Sofian Kanturi with the story.
2 years have passed since the Russian-Ukrainian war started, and Kiev is striving to overcome Russia's advances. Weakened by a lack of supply, Ukrainian troops are suffering increasing losses on the battlefield, where the Russians have been gaining ground. On the 2nd year anniversary, European and other Western leaders gathered in Kiev to renew their support amid US reluctance. However, appearing confident, Ukrainian president on the occasion vowed victory and thanked his fighters.
We are fighting for it, for already 730 days of our lives, and we will win on the best day of our life. I thank all of you, fighters. I thank our people.
We continue to support Ukraine in what, as you know, I've always believed to be the right of its people to defend themselves.
At the UN Security Council, Secretary General Antonio Guterres reiterated the imperative of peace, stressing the urgency to end the prolonged conflict.
The war in Ukraine remains an open wound at the heart of Europe. It is high time for peace, a just peace based on the United Nations Charter, international law, and General Assembly resolutions.
In contrasting move, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu visited frontline troops in Ukraine, aiming to bolster morale and honor their dedication in the ongoing struggle. It's worth noting that Russia claimed that its forces had warded off Ukraine's multiple attacks over the past week, while Ukraine said its forces had shot down a Russian surveillance aircraft amid offensive operations during the period.
Still in Europe, dozens of French farmers staged a protest against President Emmanuel Macron's visit to the International Agricultural Exhibition in Paris, causing a delay in the opening of the exhibition doors as they tried to prevent his entry. Macron, in a discussion with the farmers, urged them not to portray the situation in a catastrophic light. However, discontent over costs, bureaucracy, and green regulations continues to fuel anger among farmers across most European countries. And just ahead of the South Carolina Republican presidential primary, former President Donald Trump addressed a black conservative gala, drawing comparisons between his legal battles, including recent penalties and criminal charges, and the historic struggles of black Americans against discrimination. Trump also mocked President Joe Biden, mimicking his poster, "Leaving the Stage." Trump faces 4 criminal cases and a 3-year ban from certain corporate roles in New York due to a civil fraud case. More stories making headlines around the globe in the news in brief.
Group of residents filled the streets of Berlin to express their discontent with the government's recent decision to increase weapon supply to Ukraine. The protest, which included a candlelight vigil in front of the Parliament building, aimed to call attention to the urgency of promoting peace over military escalation.
Several hundreds of Senegalese demonstrated on Saturday in Dakar to urge the head of state to organize the presidential election before the end of his mandate on April 2nd, after having postponed it to a date still unknown.
The South Korean government on Friday issued a severe public health warning, the highest level of the warning system, after thousands of trainee doctors went on strike to protest against government recruitment plans.
A fire that raged through a residential building in the early hours of Friday in the eastern China's Nanjing city killed 15 people and injured more than 40, according to the local authority, where numerous electric bikes were parking. But the case of the fire remains under investigation.
Well, we reached the end of our news. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, take care.